Hey, it's Josh Bloom. It's another episode of the Josh Bloom podcast. It's another edition of TikTok Rants, which is not something that I was so certain would be happening, considering as of last weekend, TikTok went away, and then as of last weekend, TikTok came back. The ban is still in effect, and it is not something I want to get into as to how this app kowtowed to a certain someone in order to arrive back into our good graces, but I will get into it in a new series that I started on TikTok the other day that went viral right off the bat called Ignoring the Trump Administration. So, that's the person I was talking about. The first thing I'm starting with is just a heartwarming story of a man who is me going through the self-checkout at the Stop and Shop and celebrating a woman who called me weird. Celebrating a woman who works at the self-checkout at the Stop and Shop. I have encountered this woman several times. Let me tell you something about myself to frame this. When I am going through the self-checkout, which is the only way I go, as someone who could be on the spectrum, could be OCD, could be just a jerk. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but when I'm going through that self-checkout, it is in my mind, can I go faster than I've ever gone before? How fast can I go? I am acutely aware of every single moment in life is slipping away, and the more time you spend checking out of the grocery store, well, you cannot get that time back. So way to use your time for other things is to get through that thing as just quickly as possible, smoothly as possible, elegant, sophisticated movements. So I've encountered her many, many times now. There's another guy who works there who he seems to be completely disconnected from everything. So the look on his face is just he doesn't want to have to come over there to help with anything. But this woman, the opposite. She wants to come over and help with stuff. Now, I don't know if there's something going on with her. That's not for me to say, and I'm not placing any judgment. Like I said, I'm celebrating this woman, and here's why. So today, there she was. And as I walked up, she immediately saw I had 2 bagels. And she's like, do you know how to do the bagel? I was like, yeah. I kind of glided on past. It wasn't rude, but I kind of glided on past just to be like, to give that vibe, like, oh, I'm just like barely stopping to do the checkout. So just, because I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on with her. Like, I don't know if she understands those social cues. And frankly, sometimes I don't understand social cues. And when I say sometimes, I mean most of the time. So, I indicated, yeah, I know how to do the bagels. And then she said, oh, you're an expert. You're one of our good customers. You're an expert. And I wasn't triggered by that or anything, but I was like, let's go for it. It's, I want to know more. So I was like, well, what qualifies me as an expert? And she said, well, you're here all the time. And, she seems to be just taken aback. I'm just putting words in her mouth. She said something like, you're here all the time and you know what you're doing or whatever. But I think she might have been taken aback that I said, what qualifies me as an expert? I did not say it with any kind of tone. It was literally like wanting to engage her. I was like, let's go. This is your world. Let's go. I want to know. So she said, well, you're here all the time and you don't have to ask any questions. And I said, that's what makes someone an expert? They just don't have to ask questions? I was like, that seems like a pretty low bar. And then she replied, that's weird, which blew my mind. I'm like, she's calling me weird I was like, okay, well, okay. So I wanted to kind of keep going. I didn't react to being weird. I just found it funny that she said it. So I said, I think it should be a higher standard to be considered an expert. And she didn't really respond to that, but then saw I took an onion out of the bag to ring in next. And I immediately, because I'm an expert, I immediately started looking for that little sticker with a number, because I know that if you just punch the number in, you don't have to look it up or anything. So as I am lifting the onion to my face to look at it, she says, there's a number on there. And I said, I know, I'm an expert. I know there's a number on there. And then I said to her, one way to qualify someone as an expert, you might want to consider this could be a qualification of an expert is if they already know the number. And I will tell you that I have been in other grocery stores where just as I was checking out, different kind of checkout person, like they weren't in my face, but they could just see that I was trying to find the number and just said the number out. They didn't go like, "Hey, mister," or walk over or anything. They just said 4094, which I now believe is the yellow onion number because I've engaged in this whole thought process about it. So she said, "Well, I do know the number. I do have it memorized." I was like, "Okay, well, there you go." I was like that. I was like, "You are an expert, so you obviously know it." So I was like, "You might want to think about like that being the standard, is that they have to know the numbers off the top of their head." No real reaction there. I think there's something up, but she thinks I'm weird. I think I don't think she's weird, but I think there was something going on. So she must think, well, there's something going on with this guy. When I see this guy the next time, I'm gonna be like, that's that expert doofus or something. So I finished my checkout, and then I thought we had some little bit of a connection there. So as I'm walking out, I said, "Have a good day, bye." Nothing. Not a look, not a nothing. But just so you remember, the number for yellow onion, I believe, is 4094. The next time you're in a Stop and Shop, maybe they're standard. They might be standard across all grocery stores. The next time you're in a grocery store and buying an onion, 4094, baby. Well, Mr. Smart Guy back here with you half an hour later with this cliffhanger reveal that it was not 4094 on a yellow onion. It is 4093, which drives the point home once again and leaves me to celebrate this woman in all her glory, that she knows those numbers and I do not. So when I do see her again, I will bring up the fact that I did not remember the number and she did, and I am no expert, and she will likely call me weird again, and I will say, "Ma'am, you're talking to a weirdo."
Wasn't that a nice story? If I do see her again, which I'm sure I will not be bringing up that I made a video and podcast about her, because not only will she likely call me weird, she will likely call the cops. Next up is a bit of political content. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I was at the Panera doing work like I do, and I overheard a large group of women having a conversation that I just couldn't resist taking out my tablet and making notes about, and then making a video while they were sitting there and while I was sitting there listening to 600-year-old women talking smack on Kamala and Michelle. I don't think I need to give you last names to let you know who those women are.
Just your friend Josh Bloom right here, reporting on the beat. I want to let you know that I'm sitting here at the P, and to my right, I would say about 12 feet away, approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a seventh lady who has, oh, here she comes. I would say that the combined ages of these 7 women would equal, I don't know, somewhere in the 600 range. Approximately 70 to 80 years old each. I feel the need to simply report on who is walking among us on planet Earth. I absolutely respect my elders, and I respect these ladies and their right to come here into this P and say whatever it is that they would like to say while they are lunching. Now, there is one among them who seems to be the ringleader, and when I call her the ringleader, she seems to be the one who is the loudest and the most animated when starting and maintaining conversations. And I will tell you right now that the conversation is about some people in our public life. Now, I wonder who those people could be. One of those people is someone that I know by the name Kamala Harris, but that these women know by various other pronunciations of that name that I am sure are not pronunciations that they think are correct, except for being correct in that they are meant to bring her down. So I took a few notes because, frankly, I made a video earlier when I heard some other bits of their conversation, and then I thought to myself, "Oh, Josh, did you really hear what you heard? Maybe you didn't hear what you heard." I don't like to believe that older ladies who I like to think our grandmothers with grandchildren that they want to leave a good impression on as they enter the world and enter society, that they would talk this way. But I deleted a video because I was like, give them another chance, Josh. And unfortunately, they just gave me more ammunition. Now, if this phone seems jittery, it is because I have had a lot of coffee, and frankly, I am sick to my stomach. I feel ill from listening to what I listen to. So when they started talking about Kamala Harris, an incredibly accomplished human being, they said, what an embarrassment. Now, here we are on a Wednesday afternoon in the P. Now, I'm here too. So, call me out for what you will, but I work pretty much at any time that my eyes are open. I am working. I am sorry for that jittery phone because I am caffeinated and I am sick. So, not physically ill, just, nauseated by what's around me. Um, I am working when my eyes are open. That is basically the deal. What are they doing here? I don't know. They're obviously retired. And the fact that these women would criticize an accomplished woman like Kamala Harris this way is just laughable. Now, I am a person with no problem with someone who says, like, Kamala Harris, I can see that she's done some things with her life, and I appreciate those accomplishments, but I do not agree with her politically in any way. And in fact, I think that her decision making is disgraceful, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that is not the conversation that was going on here. Several times I saw the woman ringleader have to hold back from using the B word and the C word to describe Ms. Harris, Vice President Harris, at least for the next few days. Said that everything she talked about during the campaign was gobbledygook, which I know is a right-wing talking point that somehow the woman doesn't know how to speak. Now, I saw her speak plenty of times now. Politicians in general will always raise my eyebrows because politicians are politicians. They're always gonna say what they have to say in order to accomplish their goals, and some of them try to be more forthright than others. Kamala Harris, I felt, was a genuine person, and I feel like I am a decent judge of character, having grown up in these New York streets. I'm just looking at my notes now. Yes, I said that the ringleader, almost called her the C word and held back. And I think she only held back not because she wanted to hold back. She held back for effect because we're in public. So, saying the C word in public is probably like, she considers herself, too upper class for that. Now, I don't want to run out of time before I get to the next topic of their conversation. Coincidentally, another black woman, and this black woman, you may now guess, was Michelle Obama, or as these women wanted to say, another right-wing talking point, Michael Obama, because as soon as Michelle came up, when they talked about how they were finding her also disgraceful because she did not attend Jimmy Carter's funeral. Now, of course, I seriously doubt they have any reverence for Mr. Carter, but they do have reverence for the fact that somehow, even though Mr. Carter does not deserve their respect, they are appalled that Michelle Obama, or Michael as they said, would not attend his funeral. And of course, the reason she did not attend his funeral was because she would have had to sit next to the incoming president-elect, who has said all sorts of nasty and horrible things about her. Now, you might say, well, she has said nasty and horrible things about him. The things she has said about him are patently true, and we will find out more about that in the coming days and weeks as he becomes our leader as a criminal and convicted felon. But we'll get into that in later videos. What they said about Michelle after they pointed out how disgraceful she was for not attending Jimmy Carter's funeral, and how disgraceful she is for announcing that she will not be attending the inauguration because she does not want to be around this incredibly thin-skinned, juvenile president, it's so hard to say, that we have before us, they went on to say that Michelle Obama's children are not her children. And why were they not her children? What, were they adopted or something? No, no, no. They are not her children because she cannot have children. And because she cannot have children because she was born a man, another right wing talking point, as I pointed out before. I wish I could note and pay attention to the things they are continuing to say. They are mere feet away from me because the ringleader is very, very animated right now. She is filibustering and trying to get her friends on board who look sort of dismayed and also sort of appalled, but also completely down with the things that are coming out of her mouth. So Michelle Obama's children cannot possibly be her children because she cannot bear children because she is a man, according to these women. I have to now move into an assessment as we wrap this up. The faces of these women now, like I said, they are older women, so I am not commenting about older women. I am not ageist. I think women, men of any age, any creed, any color, any religion are all beautiful because they are people who are living the human condition and their struggles show on their personage, as they do for all of us. But these women, every single one of these women, who I would say total around the age of 670, they all look miserable. One of them does look like she's got an Elizabeth Warren-ish vibe to her. Now, Elizabeth Warren, I believe, is closing in on 80, and she looks fit as a fiddle. And I would say, as someone who believes that mental health is an important part of looking healthy, I get the impression Elizabeth Warren has been pretty content, satisfied with her life. These women over here, especially the ringleader, they look, the misery on their faces is something to behold. I feel strongly that their dislike of Kamala Harris has something to do with the fact that Kamala Harris represents something that they will never be, could never be, and that is not about talent, or that is not about intellect, or that is not about position or status. That is about having hate in your heart and walking around with that hate and cultivating that hate so that when you see someone who is happy and content and successful and ambitious and joyful and pleasant and looking towards the future with optimism, like Kamala Harris, and you are a woman like I am staring at this very second, who has lived a life that obviously is miserable based on the face that she wears, I can totally see how you would not like Kamala Harris at all. Ma'am, I get it.
Wasn't that fun? I took the full 10 minutes that TikTok allows. You get the picture. If I see them again, I'm sure all 8 of them will call me weird. Next up is more coffee shop culture. I have been writing a piece about what I call sociopathic behavior of mine, which isn't really sociopathic behavior. I'm just being funny, but it is kind of sociopath adjacent, and I justify it by pointing out behavior of others that I think is even more sociopathic. So I am about 7,000 words into writing this piece, which I will split up into 2 and post on Substack. Please subscribe at superjews.substack.com, and then we'll release as a couple of podcasts. But for now, here is something inspired by this writing called Splash Stick Gatekeeping. You probably don't know what a splash stick is. You are about to find out.
Are you aware what a splash stick is? If you are not aware of what a splash stick is, this is what a splash stick is. And it is from the place that doesn't allow you to have a splash stick, and that place is Panera. Now, I don't have any problem with Panera. In fact, I like Panera very much. I'm a member of the SIP Club, and I spend a lot of time there because I'm a member of the SIP Club, and I get a lot of work done at Panera. But I have come to believe that they do not allow you to acquire splash sticks for a very specific reason. And how do I know this? because those splash sticks are not available on their coffee station. Now, why the hell would they do that? This is a place where you get to pour your own coffee. You think they would want to make sure that you have an opportunity to put a stopper in the lid of your coffee because it is hot, it is fresh, it is good, not bad. But the chances of you spilling that coffee in your car are quite great, which led me to believe that for anyone, if you're a member of the Sip Club or you're just coming in there and buying a coffee, they want to kind of encourage you to not bring a second cup with you outside of the restaurant. Now, I can understand that the corporate powers that be, that they aren't thinking about customers, they're thinking about money. They have probably figured out the math that says, hey, if we keep people from extra cups of coffee around the globe, or whoever and however or wherever this company exists, if we keep X amount of customers from acquiring a second and third cup of coffee and taking it with them, we will save this amount of money. Now, how can we kill two birds with one stone? How can we keep them from bringing an extra cup of coffee with them out of the Panera and also not have to provide them with the means to do that, which is the splash stick? I don't know about you, but I am not leaving any coffee shop with hot coffee that might spill in my car. I need that splash stick. Now, for a while, I thwarted that system because stirrers, those little wooden stirrers, they are on the coffee station. So I would break one in half and put that right into the hole in the coffee lid. I was like, you did not get me. I figured my way around your gatekeeping of splash sticks. But over time, I started to think about it. And it kind of pissed me off that I had to come up with this ragtag solution. So I don't know how much a splash stick costs to manufacture. It does have a cute Panera logo on it that is used to pull the splash stick out of the coffee cup, and obviously someone designed that. It could cost 0.00036 cents per splash stick. I figure that's something like that. But when you times that by the amount of customers, by the amount of splash sticks around the nation, around the world, if this company exists worldwide, they're saving some money. Some CEO somewhere is taking home a bonus this year and buying themselves some fancy car because of all the money they saved on splash sticks. I don't know how many people had to get hot coffee all over themselves and their car in order for this guy to buy, or this woman. I don't want to become sexist in my dislike of the brass at Panera. It could be a woman who's driving a Lamborghini. I don't know. Whatever happened, it is splash stick money that paid for it. I know this is fact because I inquired of the local management of my local Panera as to why these splash sticks were not available on the coffee station, and they told me it was a corporate decision. And I also got inside information that they're at the local place kind of annoyed that people have to ask for splash sticks all the time because they're trying to do their work, and then boom, boom, they have to go and get people splash sticks all the time. Now, why would they want to be doing that? Because when the regional manager comes in, you know how this goes. They said, excuse me, I'm going to have to write you up because you put the splash sticks on the coffee station and you know they do not go there. I feel they put the local management, the baristas, the workers in a place, in a situation where they have to answer to customers for the bad decisions of the corporate entities, the corporate bosses. I hate using that word. I don't like boss. It is. There's a hierarchy there that just does not feel right to me. That they make them gatekeep those splash sticks, and that is unacceptable. So I suggest that you do what I do. I requested a splash stick a couple times, and I took that splash stick home and I washed that splash stick and I put that splash stick into my bag, and I have that splash stick on hand when needed. And in fact, I am thinking about taking it to the next level and getting a customized splash stick. Maybe it has my logo on it, maybe it has my face on it, maybe it is made out of aluminum or steel, and I could have it on hand at any given time, and maybe it's a conversation starter. Someone sees me with my splash stick and they're like, holy shit, where'd you get that splash stick? It's a custom splash stick. What the hell's going on, Josh? And I was like, I got a custom one because I don't have to ask anymore. I just have it on hand. It's a beautiful sterling silver splash stick. I'll never spill, and I will look fancy doing it. So, to my fellow Panera patrons, if you run into this situation where you are at the coffee station and you cannot get your hands on a splash stick, just know they are behind the counter. I recommend that you ask for one or two and you keep them on hand and clean them and put them in your bag so you never have to ask again. And maybe you do consider getting a custom splash stick. But the overall message here is that if you have felt burdened while at the Panera, pouring yourself a coffee and wondering why the hell this reality is this reality, your good friend Josh Bloom is here to explain it to you. You can start thinking about some other problem on some other day in some other coffee shop.
There you go. Now you know what a splash stick is. If you go to Panera, you better covet one. Since we're in a coffee shop, let's continue in a coffee shop. Apparently, Starbucks has recently changed what they call their open door policy about letting people come in and hang out there or have meetings or so on. And I felt the need to talk about that. So here we go. This is a piece about Starbucks called "Starbucks Has Banned All Bad Behavior."
If you are someone who likes the vape in the Starbucks, I have some bad news for you because they are not going to allow that anymore. To quote, Starbucks is reversing its open door policy after almost 7 years, now requiring that people make a purchase if they want to hang out at its coffee shops or use its restrooms. Now, I have to be honest, I didn't know that such an open door policy even existed. I thought you could just go into the Starbucks anytime you wanted and buy something or not buy something. Now, when I would go into the Starbucks, which I have not in quite some time, I would go in there and I would always buy something because, I mean, that's just common courtesy. But it's Starbucks. They don't need your money. They exist to take advantage of us, don't they? So the fact that even a policy existed like this is sort of mind-blowing to me. And I have to wonder, how are they enforcing this policy? Are they going to be hiring a team of Starbucks police to go around to tables and make sure that you bought something? I find that to be something that is quite unlikely. To continue, the coffee giant said on Monday that a new code of conduct, which will be posted in all company-owned North American stores, now, I'm sure people will be flocking over to the local Starbucks to read that code of conduct that's hanging on the wall. Maybe they make a t-shirt out of it and I'll wear it at the Charlie XCX show. It will also ban discrimination or harassment. Now, I would assume that discrimination and harassment at the Starbucks is something that most people aren't looking to do in the first place. So the fact that the store needs to post something that banning discrimination or harassment makes me think that there's a lot of discrimination and harassment going on at Starbucks. And why is that? It's a coffee shop, or more appropriately, or more accurately, a dessert shop, because those drinks are not coffee. They're ice cream sundaes. Consumption of alcohol, smoking, vaping, drug use, and panhandling have also been banned. Now, that is quite perplexing. The most perplexing of all out of all this, because I never knew that people were going into the Starbucks to drink, smoke, vape, use drugs, or panhandle. But apparently they are, to the point that Starbucks feels like they need to post something about it and ban it. Also, when it says consumption of outside alcohol, that makes me think that Starbucks is selling alcohol. Maybe there's a couple of Starbucks that have turned into bars. I really don't know. Maybe it's nice to have a stiff shot of whiskey with your ice cream sundae. I don't know. But I am very interested to see how Starbucks is going to go about enforcing these policies, because I do not think there is a chance in hell that they are going to be able to enforce anything. But I just thought you might like to know that if you enjoy I'm sorry, it's just I can't help myself. If you enjoy panhandling and vaping at Starbucks, can't do it anymore, sorry.
Okay, that is it for the Josh Bloom podcast this week. That is it for TikTok Rants. I believe that TikTok Rants will continue as long as TikTok stays around, but that's not guaranteed. And why isn't that guaranteed? It's not guaranteed because of what I'm going to talk about in my new series, Ignoring the Trump Administration, which, like I said, went viral on day one. I got a couple thousand new TikTok followers overnight, which was exciting. And I am planning to continue that series for the entire 1,461 days of the Trump administration. So I will put together a weekly compilation of my Ignoring the Trump Administration posts, and then you can watch them or listen to them somewhere else. This has been Josh Bloom. Thanks for listening.